God's call to politics. We have been looking at a very interesting series on the subject of politics, where we began looking at the topic, the origin of politics, 2 weeks ago, and we established that whereas it is argued that the concept of politics dates back to ancient antiquity with the works of Plato and Aristotle, a matter of fact is that politics began at the beginning, in the book of Genesis, when God invited man to be involved in ruling and governing with him. Last week we looked at the topic of engaging politics, and we agreed that it is irresponsible for any citizen to be disengaged in matters of politics. Why? Because politics is the world's most dominant determinant of the quality of life that we lead. Good politics results into good living. Bad politics results into bad living. Therefore, you and I must of necessity be engaged in matters of politics. Today, I invite us to look at the topic, God's call to politics. God's call to politics. And I submit to us that there exists a call from God to be involved in matters of politics. Have you heard his call? I invite us to look at the life of Moses to illustrate this truth. From the book of Exodus chapter 3, verse 7 to verse 10. And I read, "The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of that land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." See, God's call to politics is threefold. Number one, it is preordained. Number two, it is personal. Number three, it is purposeful. Preordained, personal, purposeful. One may wonder, at what point was Moses' call to be involved in politics conceived? Was it in Exodus chapter 3, or was it before? See, by the time we run into Moses in Exodus chapter 3, he is 80 years old. But when was his call conceived? I submit to you, it was long before he was born. When you look at the way he was raised, God, through his providence, allowed him to be born and raised in Pharaoh's household. He must have gone to the finest of schools. He must have been prepared for this engagement of politics from a very tender age. His call to politics was preordained. But his call to politics was also personal. God appears to him when he's 80 years old, having run away from Egypt because of a mistake he had made. But God calls him nonetheless to be involved in politics. God did not call him as a crowd. God singled him out as an individual. Moses. You see, God does not call a crowd to champion his cause. He calls individuals. So God's call is personal. He had to confirm this call when he went and met the elders of Israel back in Egypt, and having done some miracles, they confirmed God's call over his life. So you too, whereas the call of God is personal, you definitely need people round and about you to confirm God's call. But it is preordained, it is personal. You need to hear it for yourself. But finally, it is purposeful. God tells Moses, here is the assignment. I want you to go and get the children of Israel out of Egypt. That was the purpose. So Moses arrives at the court of Pharaoh with a focus that was as sharp as a laser beam. And sure enough, he succeeded through a series of events nonetheless. But he still succeeded because he was focused and purposeful. Have you had God tugging at your heart lately? Have thoughts of being engaged in matters of politics been running through your mind? Maybe God is calling you and you just need to respond to God's call, because his call is preordained, it is personal, but it is purposeful. I pray that God will help you respond to his call, because there exists a call from God to be involved in matters of politics. It is preordained, it is personal, but it is purposeful. The Lord bless you.